Alright, and now we're gonna go on and do some unpopular opinions, some hot takes. Over at the EastEnders subreddit, which I keep mocking despite the fact that I keep returning to, they have done a list of mostly February-based hot takes, and we thought it would be a great idea to go through, react to some of these hot takes, see if we like them, see if we agree with them or disagree with them, and obviously maybe somewhere sprinkle in some hot takes of our own. I am Ash. I'm joined by Piggy.
Hello.
And yeah, so let's start with some hot takes. I'm gonna read a comment from the subreddit, and then we get to react and see if we agree or disagree. First hot take. I feel sorry for Hooky. I feel sorry for Sookie. Don't hang me. Do we like this? I feel sorry for Sookie. Yes.
Yeah, or as her sister Hooky.
Oh, that's what Nish calls her. He keeps entertaining Mitch.
Yeah, I'm sorry to sidetrack already. I loved that on Monday's first episode, where he's like, you know what happens to a woman who sleeps around with a man in a house? He's a whore.
It's just like, Jesus Christ, Nish. I hate him. I do hate him. And a lot of the comments next to this kind of go down the same aisle of going, yeah, definitely. Despite previous actions, no one deserves to go through abuse, whether physical or emotional. Anyone thinking Sookie is as bad as Nish doesn't want to get it. Which, I'd also agree. Basically, because obviously Sookie's been quite cold on a time during the square. Because before Nish came back, she was like stone cold, like, I have to be tough for my kids. So this probably soured a lot of people on Sookie, how she treated Honey. Yeah, I'm not surprised why there would be a lot of detractors from her. So yeah. I also just think that Balvinda Sopal, the actress, is fantastic. Does a really good job. Probably one of my favourite actors on the show.
I'd agree. She definitely is a great actress. The person who plays Nish really knows how to be an asshole.
He does. He's really good at it. Like, he's a very convincing asshole.
Now, is he as bad as Hayley Slater, who's an asshole in real life? That's another hot take.
Oof. Ooh. I suppose that could possibly... Okay, this is going to be a bad way to segue it into mine. But I personally would love to see the Hayley Slater character get brought back. I think she was the highlight of... Is it 2019?
2018, because that's when Alfie Moon falls down the stairs.
Yes.
And his head off stuff.
I think she
Which I thought they killed them off before,
yeah.
But they didn't.
I genuinely think she was a highlight of 2018. But just recast the actress, Just let's just forget that she ever existed and just move on. But I think her character was actually really interesting. She had a great dynamic with Jean.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
The character had great dynamic. The actress, from what I've heard, is not so nice of a person.
No.
So, fuck you. But we like the character.
Yeah. Right, next hot take. Sookie is the only Panasar who seems to work. The rest can absolutely dip.
What does that mean?
Basically, the only Panasar needed is Sookie. Everybody else can just leave.
Well, they are. There's literally only one Panasar left after Ash is gone.
Yeah, true. And that's just Vinny, who he's not lasting long, let's be honest. He's been given nothing to work with the whole time.
Will he be written out of the show, I wonder, or will the actor just leave?
I feel like he'll just get written out. I feel like obviously, I feel like after Christmas, Nish will die, and Vinny will decide that he needs to go figure out how to be his own, like, man. And then he'll leave, and Suki will just exist with Ash. Not Ash, with Eve, sorry. I think that's how it'll go, personally.
Right, next hot take.
Yeah, just gonna find this next one. Slightly okay. Assuming this is all, there's a lot of Suki and Panasar based ones. But someone goes, the only problem with the storyline so far is that Eve is treating Suki like it's some like fantasy love story, when Suki needs actual like responsible adult help, and basically she's being way too emotional and has kind of ended up just ruining Suki a lot more, like, because, you know, she gave away all her money and her finances, essentially suggesting maybe Eve isn't really the best help.
I'd agree and disagree with that. I agree that she should be, what's the word, more supportive.
Yeah.
But I can kind of understand that if Eve starts hanging around with Suki more, Nish will just go, hi, is there more than meets the eye here?
Yes.
I don't know why you went Irish there, but...
There's more that meets the eye there. I don't know what that was, but you take it. It's me. I get to insult you every episode. Me too.
That's not even a hot take, that's just true.
I don't talk like that, man.
Of course you do. Holland is only one village.
Uh...
But people won't get that till the podcast comes out on Saturday at the time of the recording.
Okay, so...
Or if the podcast has come out, then they understand the reference.
Oh. These... Okay, now this one's actually a bit spicy. I think for long-term fans of the show and people who love older characters, this might upset a few people.
Okay.
Sharon is a really dull character.
Right.
That's it. As a whole.
Oh. Well, Sharon is only there really because Sharon is the oldest character on the square. No, not well.
The longest standing.
Yeah. The longest.
Probably. I mean, she was in the first episode, so overall.
Wait, was the actress in the first episode?
Yeah, yeah. Letitia Dean's been there since she was like 15.
Oh.
I'll be honest, I do agree. She doesn't really get much fun storylines. She doesn't really get to... Once again, it's the issue, they don't know how to write these iconic characters, because at least... that's also another hot take. At least Sharon is an iconic character at this point. Like, she's campy, she's funny, but there's still a lot of drama and a lot of, like, upset to be there. But also, the last several years, she's not really been given a lot of good to work with. She had the sad storyline where she lost Denny, and then gave birth to Albie. But otherwise, she had that really weird revenge storyline with Ian, and it's kind of... I don't want to say she feels lost without Phil, but she definitely feels lost without being in like a high-profile relationship on the show.
Yeah.
How do you find Sharon as someone who's not really watched a lot of her over the years?
It's very hard for me to give an opinion, but I don't think she's the best written watch. I don't know whether that's a hot take or not.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it's just what they need to do is they did a great job at bringing in Zach, and there's a cool dynamic with like her, Martin, Zach, But I feel like you just need to somehow bring in more family for Sharon, so she can kind of take up that big, like, matriarch role that I feel like they desperately want her to have. But she just doesn't really get it.
Yeah, because she's the only watch that's around and always alive.
And she's dead. Den's dead. Michelle, who isn't a Watts but is Sharon's best mate, she's off in America. You could bring back Vicky, maybe? And maybe Vicky has like a teen daughter or something. I just think you need to beef it up. Because, alright. I suppose, before I go into that, I've just spawned two really big kind of hot takes in my brain. But let's just kind of go... I suppose someone also in the same line said Kat is kind of also completely bollocks at this point. Like, she's just... I enjoy her dynamic with Phil, and I'm glad that it's made Phil a lot happier, and Phil smiles more, and he has more fun. But it's also a bit of a weird plot point that I don't know if I care for. I don't care as Kat the character, I just like their relationship.
Okay.
But I suppose the main thing I want to get into, really, I think there's a really big issue with how weak a lot of the families are on the square. A lot of the families were introduced a long time ago, and most of the members of the clan have been completely they're either dead, gone, or just not there. How many cars are left? Linda. That's it. She's the only one. Linda and the kids. How many Brannings are left? What, like 3? You know, like you just have Jack. How many Mitchells are left? Yeah, sure, there's a couple more, but you have Phil and you have Ben. Like, and kind of Jay in there. I just really think that maybe it may just be being dumb, but I think EastEnders is best at its core when most of these like big families and clans have like a huge like we would die for each other type deal, like one big close knit family. But
I'd agree with that.
It just because they obviously made so many decisions where they were going to kill off characters, or some actors wanted to leave, so they had to write them out. But it's just. And even when they introduced new families, like they introduced the Panasars, but one of them's dead, one of them's in prison, one of them's about to leave, and another is probably on their way out. So you just have Suki and now Nish, who's also probably gonna die. So I guess the most like family members a family has is the Slaters, but what do they even do? I just like it when there's the big strong families and they start beefing, really. Like, I want a bit of danger. Like, oh yeah, sure, Nish and Phil are going to war. What, we are 3 people behind you, you know? Like, it's not very intimidating, is it? At least when the Brannings went to war, you had Derek, you had Max, you had Jack, who was, you know, wasn't a copper then. You had, like, you had Derek's kids, you had Jack's kids, you had Max's kids. You had these big families, but they just haven't really introduced any more. Sorry, that just turned to a big passionate bring in more families, guys. Jesus Christ. The numbers are so thin. I suppose another angle I suggest. Mate, it's honestly, it's opened up a can of worms. My brain's working double time trying to get these out. I also think that there's a very strong... They rely too much on the older characters.
Right.
Because most of the main storylines, they're given to Phil, they're given to Kat, they're given to Sharon. They were given... Every storyline was given to Mick or Linda. But when they introduce, like the new characters, like, Ash, Vinny. Kirak got a bit more storyline, but like, there are a lot of characters who are brought in for one big storyline, then completely discarded. And then you check and you're like, Jesus Christ, they were there for 3 years. It's like Dottie left, and what did Dottie do? She slept with Keegan, and she slept with Finley. Like, that's pretty much all she did when she was on the square. And it's just ridiculous to see how little they give the younger actors and actresses in comparison to the older people who honestly could probably do without it. Yeah, I'm just letting out my pent out frustration. Sod you, EastEnders, you knobheads.
I'm just sat here listening.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's it's just giving me this. I've just been repressing all of these ideas as I've never had anywhere to express it. I suppose that's enough. I did just list about 2 of those now. So let's go back to the Reddit hot takes. It doesn't matter what storyline Whitney is part of, and this terribly sad pregnancy is a big one for her, of course, but she'll never be an interesting character to me. I think Shona is a great actress, and my opinion is nothing against her. I just feel like a character never really changes or grows. That's a pretty hard agree for me.
I would agree with that as well.
And we obviously talked about this before in the ranking February edition, watching Walford, and someone more easily wrote essentially saying, you have just nailed what I couldn't verbalize. She isn't icon material. She is a strong character, but she'll never be Peggy, Pat, or Stacy, the character they're hoping for. Even having her singing didn't give her that star power. I think it's time they realize they are flogging a dead horse, rest the character a bit, and develop other female cast members like Chelsea or... Yikes. Is there anyone else? Yeah, I agree with this. Feels like she gets a big storyline every single year. And it's all by the books, it's standard, it's good enough, but nobody's favorite character's Whitney Dean.
Yeah.
Alright, let's
Slay.
find some more fancy ones. Someone just expressing, maybe they should have written a better way for Ryan to be a part of Whitney and Lily's story without completely killing the character. Which, yeah, we both agree with pretty heavily. Oh god, someone's bloody typed out an essay. You ready for some quick fire one?
Go on.
The show feels so much more like EastEnders simply with Mick gone. His character created a massively awkward tone to the show, and his leading man persona would have fit better in a spin-off drama rather than a soap.
Agree.
Yeah, honestly, Danny Dyer, as much as he cut, I'd say he could go up there as one of the more iconic EastEnders characters. Do you reckon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does just feel like he kind of took his role a bit too seriously and wanted it to be more than it is. And all of the interviews he's giving after the fact feel like, I don't know, they just feel rude. Well, yeah, there was an actor I didn't really like, did I? It's like, yeah, sound. Why are you still talking about it? You left. Like, they killed you off in a way that means you can come back. You're gonna come crawling back in 5 years when you've run out of money because you've blown up all your snout. Like.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And that's probably a pretty rude comment considering he struggles with substance issues. But regardless, you get the message. I do agree, though. He did just... Especially... I wouldn't have felt this until the final episode where he just got all of the... It's like Steven Seagal in any of his movies. Whereas, like, okay, so I can't lose. Or I suppose more importantly, like Vin Diesel, where he can't lose in a fight to The Rock. And he can never be shown to look weak, type deal. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, come on. Alright, next one. Up. From the off, Linda and Mick were terribly matched, and it constantly felt like the writers kept trying to prove why they shouldn't be together. In their very first major story, with the difference between how they treated Johnny and Nancy, the show kept putting forward the idea that Linda constantly needs to grow as a person, but Mick was already perfect. Which made it seem like they were saying both Linda wasn't good enough for him, and calling into question how these two even survived apparently 20 years together.
Agree.
It's very tentative. Yeah, I vibe with that. Honestly, I vibe with that. I'm not a big Mick and Linda supporter. I think they were garbage for one another. It's like you shouldn't be reunited in your marriage because nobody else wanted you.
Isn't they were together? Was that the only reason they were together?
No. But it kind of felt like it in the end. It's like, oh, they're the only one for me. And then it's like, yeah, but also in your actual other relationships, you just weren't really interested in the other one. I don't know. They just kind of sucked. I think obviously it was a good dynamic, but there was just so many reasons as to why you'd go, man, can Mick just get with someone else? Or, man, can Linda just move on? So, who knows? Number 3. Dominic Treadwell Collins, stating he wants to bring in the Carters to have no traditional soap drama, is one of the worst promises, especially since he was the one that started the Mick/Whitney affair anyways. People pull out his comments often, but he broke his own statement, which makes the whole initial thought process odd.
Wait, what was that? Sorry, read that again.
Essentially saying when they brought in the Carters, they decided that they weren't going to have any traditional soap drama. Like, they weren't going to do the typical storylines, like someone cheats or... But then the same producer who brought it in also made Mick have an affair with Whitney. So... Essentially saying...
I agree then.
Yeah, just why would you bring in this and then just not do it? It's also, why'd you bring in a character to the soap and then not try get them to do soap stuff? Like, this is the whole point of the show. There's only so much you can really do. It's supposed to be grounded in real life, you know. Lucy Beale's murder storyline for how it ruined the Beale family permanently and had to force character changes left and right, and then ended with a twist that made absolutely no sense and had no build-up, makes it the worst major storyline in the show's history, and the impact it had was just negative after negative. That's a fun one.
I don't know how to feel about that one.
I do think the writers overestimated how much people really cared. Because, let's be honest, Lucy Beale was never really that good a character. And at the end, because they had to do a whodunit, they just made her really unlikable. And then the twist is that Bobby did it, and it's like, yeah, but why? You could have had so many more interesting angles here. You could have had it be Lauren, you could have had it be Max. But instead, you make it be the small child who has a terrible mustache.
Wait, he had a mustache as a kid.
Well, when he was in jail, they had some bits where he had this, like, babe Babby's first mustache, and I just hated it.
So, question, do you know the actor that plays him?
I don't, but...
The actor who plays Bobby B and now.
Oh, now?
Yeah. Is he the one who played him in jail, or was that a different actor?
No. They brought in Clay Milner Russell when he was brought back coming out of prison. First Bobby B... Well... The Bobby Beale actor who did the Who Killed Lucy storyline was he was just not a very convincing teen actor, I'll be honest. Huh. Alright, let's go for that one. No, that's fine. Oh, Gray's serial killer storyline in general is quite interesting, as well as different, and the fact that unlike most serial killers on soaps, he actually killed legitimate, long-standing characters is bold. And then to have him go on for so long is even bolder. Had it not have been Gray, it may have well been a storyline that could have overthrown Hillman, that's a character in Coronation Street, as the best soap serial killer. They literally just needed to split the character, one for domestic abuse, one as the serial killer. I think that's super fun. I like it.
I like it.
They definitely did do the domestic abuse storyline a lot of injustice, as it's like, he's just a narcissist who can't really deal with his problems, and so he takes it out on his wife, who tries her best but is really like just running out of, like, she just can't deal with it anymore. But then they just made him a serial killer, and it kind of demeans the whole domestic abuse storyline. And all right, let's find a really interesting final one. We go on. Let's find something more interesting. Okay, one thing that people will get upset about. Essentially people essentially saying Ballum is good and Ballum is awful. Obviously, when we've seen Ben and Callum, for this last little bit, they've been relegated to the background, and people believe that that's probably where they should stay. Do you have any opinion on Ben and Callum, or did you manage to miss out most of the fanfare?
I managed to miss out most of the fanfare.
Okay. And I suppose... How do I... Yeah. I suppose my other... I don't know how unpopular the opinion is, but essentially just saying that, man, Ben Mitchell, since he was brought back, has been one of the most overused characters in soap. And not in a good way. Because every single storyline would be given to Ben. And he would still be an absolute knobhead. Like, he'd be a terrible human. But then, just because he got into a relationship with Callum, he's now suddenly this, like, really big, like, oh yeah, they're just two working class boys. And it's like, mate, he was about to human traffic someone. And, like, just to prove that he was good for Phil. And it's just... I feel like the current Ben Mitchell actor lacks a lot of actually being Ben Mitchell. I think they should have just brought in him to maybe just be around Phil, but not actually play Ben Mitchell. There we are. That's one to close it off on. I think the current Ben Mitchell actor shouldn't be playing Ben Mitchell and should have just been playing someone else on the show. Get screwed, all the Ballum fans. And the obvious take is they should have brought back Harry Reid, because he was a fantastic Ben Mitchell actor. So, have you managed to stomach up any other hot takes?
No.
What if I push you for one? What if I push you? Go on.
Oh,
Pluck one out of your ass. You've got to have an unpopular opinion.
I feel like EastEnders like to rely on the past.
Yeah.
No?
Nah, that works. I agree. And yeah, that has been an episode of Hot Takes, mostly based in February, but also just a big old 30-minute session of us kind of complaining about the show and just saying its shortcomings. Do you have any hot takes? And do you want to share it in the comment section down below? As if we get enough hot takes from the comment section, maybe one day we'll do an episode of us essentially going, alright, here's what you think. And then we can have a bit of back and forth, and we can have a bit of fun. We've been watching Walford. I've been Ash, and I've been joined by Piggy.
I've been joined by the seal.
Indeed. And yeah, make sure to watch the next video on the channel. We will see you then.